So what we'd like to do is to have a quite practical session on AI. There is a lot of stuff you can see in terms of vision. We'll touch on that as well. But I think the most exciting part is having from these practitioners and to learn what they do, how they do it, what are the new trends, what are the tools they are using. So before we get into that, let's have a round of each of them presenting what they do. We'll start with Edmundas. You are the first in line. I will not discriminate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Edmundas. I'm from Lithuania. I build startups for the past 15 years, have a couple of exits, and currently I'm building the solution called RFPX, where we help government agencies and organizations automate their processes. Everything from inquiries, complaints, to public procurement documentation. For example, if they need to create public tenders for complicated purchases, they can generate technical specifications and other documents using our platform. We're EU GDPR compliant and working with Ministry of Environment in Lithuania, working with our state tax authority and different agencies for consumer right protection, for communication and transportation logistics monitoring, and so on. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Anna?
Hello, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm originally from Georgia. My story is that I moved to US a long time ago to study computer science there. I was working there from Google to other companies. I ended up being head of engineering in one of their organizations. And during pandemic, I went back to Georgia, not expecting that that would be a place where I would start a startup. But turns out in a small country like Georgia and Moldova, it's amazing to start a startup because you get amazing support. So I started a startup. It ended up being part of Y Combinator. So we have officially we're in San Francisco, but we have an engineering team in Georgia as well. Actually, most of our engineering team is in Georgia, and we are shipping this product that is being used by more than 15,000 organizations globally from some of the really large names. And when I think about it, from stock exchanges, etc., that our product being used, it's developed by Gen Zs in Georgia, which is not something that you would expect. In terms of the AI perspective, we built our own model before ChatGPT was out. Then we had to pivot a little bit after ChatGPT was out in terms of how we present our product. Throughout the story, we had a lot of interesting up and downs, from being approached by OpenAI as an investor to failures and success. So happy to share all of those, and thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. And last but not least, Vitalie.
Okay, I'm Vitalie. I'm from here. I'm coder science 12 years, almost 40 years. So I created countless of products on startups like previous KO, recently KO, Soofragio, like Vote Me Up. We tried to change the democracy, the mass media, a lot of outlier startups, let's say. Usually all the products I build alone without any other person involved. Last 2 years, almost I do with helping with LLMs, let's say. I use a lot of tools, everybody. And my projects usually are new startups that are fully automated by AI, not involved by humans.
So to summarize, Vitalie is a one-man army when it comes to developing AI tools. Yeah. And I'm not sure how many things you're doing. It's probably hard to count. But very nice and thank you as a glad customer of many of the products you do. All right, getting a bit to the journey everyone had into AI as a product, because we have quite different experiences. Vitalie is a one-man army. Anna is a tech first, business second, then Edmundas is a business first, tech second. I would like to hear how each of you got into AI. Let's this time start with Anna. You already mentioned a bit in terms of how things developed in developing your own core model and then having to pivot. How did you get to start with all of it? And
Yeah, so back then so first we had a problem, right? So we wanted to generate API documentation. So as an engineer, I didn't really want to write all the document. The writing is the worst part, right? You want to code, you don't want to document. So we're like, you know what, like we can create our own language model for this. And it was simple. We wanted to input an API spec and output everything documented. So we looked first at different open source versions from GPT-2. By the way, for those who do not know, ChatGPT before GPT-3 was out, they had open source version when OpenAI was actually open. And it was not really great. We didn't end up not using it. We used T5 as a base model. We started training, and we were so excited when we released our first version of the AI model and we saw everything documented for us, especially as engineers. And we actually launched it publicly on TechCrunch Disrupt. Have any of you here watched show Silicon Valley? Hands up? Okay, perfect. You know how they're making fun of like everyone pitching, I'm gonna change the world? It's exactly like that. And that's how we felt that, oh, with this documentation generation, we are so cool, and people were actually approaching us and telling, this is amazing, this is great, we were feeling so amazing. Then we ended up going to Web Summit and winning that as well, so we were like on top of the world. And then I think it was 2 months later, ChatGPT was out, and we were telling investors, it's really hard to replicate what we are doing, and our competitors that are in API space, it will take forever for them to set up all this infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, now that they can use this API, right? So then our mindset had to change and see, okay, for some time, yes, they will take some time for them to really replicate what we have because we had a niche data set, which means even for ChatGPT at that time, we were still outperforming because it was a very specific use case. But anyway, long story short, we had to look at product from different perspective and see it's not just one AI feature. We have to think about from the whole platform, what value we are going to bring to the users and to the organizations. So we had to change our mindset. Eventually, we had to also give up our model, which was a little bit difficult on our ego, because from cost perspective, it's not really effective to always run and improve your model. And we realized after some time ChatGPT was better. So we started using and replaced our model. So yeah, that's long story short about how we got to AI product.
When we were telling the story of how you were feeling before ChatGPT and after, I think many people got very used now with the language models. And I do remember the time on how exciting things were and how technology seemed almost ready, but not yet. And then things turned around quite quickly, and everyone had to reinvent.
Yeah, expectations also grew of what they were expecting and how excited they were in first, and then they were like, okay, what's next?
All right. Edmundas, you had quite many initiatives before, and you are an serial entrepreneur. What did come first, ChatGPT or the idea of using AI for the business?
Oh, so I've been inspired and working with AI technology since 2015. Probably my first big inspiration was playing with Amazon Alexa and building and realizing, oh, I can listen to podcast and stop the podcast and do some research on a topic that I'm interested while I'm cooking, hands-free. And the first app that I built kind of like connecting to Amazon Alexa was integration of Salesforce, because I hated filling out Salesforce, partnership and sales details. And so that was one of the first things. But then it was very practical. We had a large enterprise customer in US who wanted to use our customer kind of feedback and visual feedback and bug tracking solution more in the chat kind of interface. and we started experimenting with the first chatbots that were not even really, didn't really had any AI. And then TensorFlow and other technologies blew up and again gave inspiration to test things. For Eddy Travels, we started building it in 2017. That's when Facebook was very excited about making the messenger chat application a super app like WeChat. And they had thousands of chatbots and games. And if you remember Cambridge Analytica scandal, which actually killed the platform and also killed our first version of Eddy Travels because Facebook blocked all the chatbots for over a year on the platform, and we had to build it on other options. And we started building it using Google Dialogflow, kind of faking basically. We didn't have any machine learning, anything behind it, to collect data, to collect language examples, how people talk about flights and accommodation, and then did our own machine learning and set up to build it. And that was all before ChatGPT, at least 3.5, the cool version that came out and blew up, and everyone got excited. So we would test open source models, so GPT open source models before that, and we look at, oh, this has so much potential, but it's not there yet. And then we got lucky and not lucky to live through a pandemic with our Eddy Travels travel solution. Then people were not traveling and had to pivot, and actually ended up selling the company and didn't suffer, for example, the problem that all the previous travel chatbots have now, the ChatGPT just killing them basically, because anyone can integrate a GPT API and create an amazing travel AI assistant, and that's now there's like thousands of them around the world.
I think the theme I'm getting already from both your stories is that as a startup, generally you need to be ready to pivot, but if you do an AI startup, you need to be even more so. And I'm curious what are going to be the next disruptions, and slightly afraid, but excited at the same time. Vitalie, in your case, you have been working with all kinds of tech for quite a long time. When is the first time you become more excited about AI? I know you have, on one side, a skeptical view on what it can do, and on the other side, a super excited view on what it could do.
Well, I'm old here, so my first AI, what I built, was in 2000. Kind of rudimentary AI based on Bayesian native theorem. The product is named Spambuli, but it's still sold to today, 24 years later. So this is my first AI. The second is the reshaping AI. It's like fixing diacritics in Romanian language. Since 2017, I build my own projects and for different customers, full day long with brains, let's say, brains. But I throw them if it's not performed very good, and I keep on delivery if it's better than older one. I'm involved with LLMs. For example, when the marketplace started in Kaggle, like birds and so on, and start to implement it in our program. It's a huge boost when ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, and web platform before the ChatGPT, like GPT during the COVID. We get access, and I remember with guys from AI in Acțiune, we make fun of him because he not chat very well, so we try to make it chat. And the people start to know about this product when the ChatGPT became. But since then, I implement these LLMs all my current startups and products, like PreviewScale, the last version of PreviewScale. PreviewScale, who don't know, it's a live stream company here in Moldova and Romania, where we stream a lot of events. And immediately after the events, we make a press release, transcription, a lot of parameters, how good is speaker, how good they behave, also manipulation, and so on. Also, automatically I cut the news from the live streams and broadcast to Telegram and so on. Snapchat. The next startup project, let's say, citesc eu, that scan all the mass media, all the Telegram, try to understand where there's manipulation of AI, and make synthesis of this, all the news. And 2 weeks ago, I activated the audio, let's say, like radio news bulletin. And this is the first time where when the big LLM start to sound native in Romanian. Till now, only English sounds okay, but we are a small culture, so we need to wait until the big players give us tools to implement in our. Also, I implement, for example, in Radio Moldova or Moldova 1, they check how good the journalists write their content or titles and make them behave better than other media. That's kind of tools, but I have a lot of ideas and I push every way I can.
I'm now torn between to go first for the tools or for the regulation. I know there is an exciting debate on that side of the stage on the opinion of what regulation does to AI products. And you mentioned also about the truthfulness, bias, and so on, which are all parts of trying to beat the what's better to invest or to regulate. Let's go for tools. It's simpler. I agree. Okay. So then in terms of tools, each of you is at the forefront of doing something with AI. I'll continue with Vitalie because he just mentioned that he likes to play around with all the tools, and I know that usually is one of the first people to get whitelisted from Moldova for each of the new tools. How do you keep up with them, and which ones do you find the most exciting and useful in your workflow, both personally and for the ideas you implement?
First of all, I keep a huge list of Twitter lists. Means Twitter have a featured lists, and there are a lot of lists with AI influencers, and I just subscribe to that list, and I practically up to date to same day when new feature appear. As soon as they appear, I already registered on all platform, and I test them. If I see some useful, I try to implement in my project. For example, a few days ago, I got access to the Manus AI. It's a new cool thing that try to create for you a complex idea. Also, there are a lot of set of tools that I use day by day in my coding job. The first one is Copilot, that is integrated in Visual Studio. The Cursor is another cool tool that you can implement and doing even a lot of different languages, for example, HTML, CSS, but it's harder for me as a coder to do. And I rely on the AI to create for me the best design he considered. And already created very complex projects for our international organization just to single cursor in single one page. It's how powerful is now these tools for programmers. But programmers need to understand it's a front row of this wave of AI, and you need to extrapolate that these features that we're currently using day by day, in maybe 1 year, maybe less, all other industries will have such tools.
I think what I'm reading out of this is that basically most people could become one-man armies like you and with the AI tools in terms of development. I remember yesterday Anna mentioned that they already automate as much as they can from all types of processes. Could you share some of the automations that you do and what are the benefits of it?
Yeah, I also agree on what you said. I use also similar tools from, I used before Copilot and now I switched to Cursor. And From engineering perspective to coding to emails, I try to automate my work as much as possible so I can concentrate on things that matter. From engineering perspective, it doesn't mean that you can fully give agency to those tools just yet. Especially for a production level code, you have to still monitor and see the level of the code that it produces and all these things. For emails, for example, I do sales calls, then follow-ups, everything is automated for me. I don't think if I didn't have those, I would for sure forget what to who I do need to remind, what I need to send and all these things. So it definitely keeps me at check. I also have at sales calls a AI note taker, so it is with me on sales calls from like action items and all these things. So basically, it's that superpower assistant that I have using different tools. From recordings of the calls, I use a tool called Fathom. For coding, I use Cursor. For emails, I use Superhuman. I use ChatGPT for different marketing things. We don't have marketing in team, so basically ChatGPT is my sidekick. And when investors ask me, so like, who is salespeople in your team and marketing? I'm like, it's me and ChatGPT. So we are besties, and probably that's going to be for a long time.
I think your team member, ChatGPT, is doing a good job next to you since you got more than 10,000 clients, right? So that's an efficient partner to have. Yeah. Edmundas, what about you? What do you use, and what are the areas for both personal use and the work side?
Well, not to repeat the things that already my colleagues covered here, like our team also uses Cursor, ChatGPT, and we run different models in different way in our infrastructure. But I find a fun little kind of practical way how to use the most popular models, and especially if you're interested in seeing what new they can do, I basically just bookmark all the main chat interfaces for the models. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Le Chat from Mistral, our French model. What else? Oh, Claude, obviously. DeepMind, and I have them bookmarked. And if I have like a more kind of research task, or especially or documentation that we face with every day, and I want to see what these models can do, I open all of them and make them do the first step of a task, and then also take results from one of the models and put in another, kind of make them correct each other, try to spot mistakes. So if you're looking, for example, to even get advice, and you would sometimes call your family or friends, or maybe lawyers, you can take that question to 5 different models that are trained, on 5 different data sets, or at least slightly different data sets, and that are different setups, and basically have sometimes really high quality advice from kind of almost 5 different individuals. And also make them correct each other, spot mistakes in their thinking in between them. And in a sense, you're kind of doing your own manual agentic system this way. And you can apply it for anything, for marketing, for legal questions, product brainstorming, and so on.
All right. I think this is a very good transition to my next 2 questions. And I would be curious to hear everyone's opinion on 2 aspects of AI that seems to be a quite hot topic at the moment. On one side, there is the agentic systems and agents, and seems like the hottest thing for the past half year. What do you think about them? What do you see next? What are some of the platforms that are being developed? Because I know that some of the big companies are also providing some of the interrelation between these agents. And the second one on what Edmundas was mentioning, that he tests 5 different AIs at the same time. How do you feel they have evolved between them? Because all of you mentioned that ChatGPT is probably the primary use, but how do you feel has the gap closed between the LLMs? Has some of them maybe overtaken at some point? how do you see the future, or should people just stick with one and expect it to work decently? So, I don't know. Let's start with Anna, if you're all right.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to models and comparing them, I would say that I find that different models perform better in different use cases. For example, with Claude, I like to use it for coding. For when it comes to content generation, I like to use ChatGPT. And also with ChatGPT, there are different models that I will be comparing and see which one performs better. It's very clear right now in terms of innovation that OpenAI is doing a great job from that perspective. Now, your question was about agents. Mm-hmm. There are so many different industries, including ours, in APIs that are doing different spins to the agencies, right, and agents. For example, for us, what we are releasing soon is to how you're working on APIs, how you're designing APIs, API governance that also needs automation, etc., and basically running our agents that just make sure that from production level to also, for integrations and internal and public-facing APIs, there is a check. And currently, if we look at some of the industries, all of these things are so outdated. So I would just say in general that there is so much innovation to be made when it comes to deploying all these agents. In terms of regulations, I can talk about this for a very long time. I don't know if we have time, so maybe I will let others talk about in terms of different models. And if we have time, I'll definitely chime in on regulations.
All right. Vitalie, in terms of the agents as well, you've already played around with some of them. I'm curious what maybe are some of the ways for someone not as deeply initiated in all the latest AI products. What is the easiest way to get into the agents? What are maybe some of the most user-friendly ones to play around with? Because now it seems they are becoming more accessible.
Okay, agents is kind of broad understanding what is...
You pick what you prefer.
Yeah, what I like in programmers community that usually things what we discuss day by day is kind from the future, and right now I am talking what we discuss as a programmer. So the biggest thing right now is MCP. It's like agents is just past for us, right? The new coolest thing is MCP, Model Context Protocol. And the newest thing for us even is agent-to-agent protocol that Google last week presented. What means MCP? It's until now, like my colleague explained, we try to build functions, how to integrate with agents. But this is already the past because it's very hard to maintain these functions and explain each time the AI how to use it. And this protocol likes eyes for LLMs to see around all the tools that he can use. And for example, if functions for LLM are defined by programmers, MCP are defined by software owners like Blender, like Figma, like other tools, for example. And you can, if Figma already published it, but Figma published MCP protocol, and you can make any LLM like ChatGPT or Gemini to build you anything in Figma. Just easy. So this is the future. You can. You will soon have in ChatGPT a button, find anything that can build 3D object in my computer and build it, for example, like this feature. Agent to agent is the next thing when we'll try to combine multiple LLMs to do some cool things.
I see Anna has something to comment about this.
Yeah, or maybe a question to you, and I would love to get your response on this. So do you think MCP is another kind of that hyped up word where everyone is talking about MCP, but if you look at it, it's just basically collection of open API spec, right? And that's what essentially what you're exposing. So, which before you could still do it if you were publicly
It's a change of
linked,
paradigm.
Yeah.
Until now, I myself need to study the functions, API, REST call, and so on. But now the owner of software exposes these things for me. I just need to check.
But before, didn't we also have it exposed? It was just a public link to Open API spec? Is there just a maybe hyped up word?
No, it's a past already. It's a past.
I can demonstrate why business people are needed in startups, even in AI. For example, dear audience, who's building a startup here? Beautiful. Good, maybe 1/4 of the people. And who are developers here? So like 5 people. Let's cut it down a little bit with, yeah.
Okay.
So
sorry.
let's say, who's building something with AI already? Oh, nice. So even more than developers. So I guess we have some business people working. So in a sense, agentic systems, right, is just a system using AI to accomplish some task. Like you can use Zapier and plug OpenAI API or something else. And basically, you're going to already have your first agent built, you know, which is a very practical way to do it. If you're building a startup and you want to start building agentic systems or looking, probably one of the lowest barrier things you can do is just go online to Microsoft for Startups program, sign up. I think for the first step, you only need a website. You don't even need a company. And you can sign up for Microsoft for Startups, get, I think, like $2,000 or $3,000 in credits of Microsoft Azure, and also many other perks. You even get a discount for example, opening a company in Delaware using Stripe Atlas program. Everything through Microsoft for Startups. I'm not affiliated with Microsoft, by the way, in any way. I'm just saying this is one of the lowest barriers for startups. Sign up, get some Microsoft Azure credits, and then you can use them to run GPT queries, basically. So you can get access to GPT models on Microsoft Azure and do it for free and start building your own agentic systems.
I think this is a very cool call to action towards the end, and considering that we are almost running out of time, I have a rapid-fire 3 questions for you. One is complex, but try to just say the main idea. The big question is, how do you future-proof your business, especially in the AI sector? And maybe if it's easier, you can just say one thing that excites you about the future in AI and what scares you about it. Who wants to go first?
Well, my current business, RFPX, where we're automating government processes, is basically started because of this fear of the future. Then we're going to have our AI overlords, OpenAI, Microsoft, Google in the United States. They will take jobs away. They will take probably maybe even full-on industries away with AI. And a lot of things will be automated. And our governments will be also using AI models and AI products. And I just thought it would be a good idea to have something built in Europe in our region. So we would have an option to choose and wouldn't be solely depend on, for example, OpenAI, which is a great company. But, you know, a lot of power corrupts people slowly but surely. So I think having alternatives, and that's why I always test and try to use Mistral models built by our French neighbors. So everyone should go and check out Le Chat, by the way, the alternative to Claude and alternative to ChatGPT. Again, not affiliated, just another cool product to check out.
All right. So I think the excited part of the future is what might be built in Europe. Let's hope for something cool, maybe out of Moldova even. Anna?
What I'm most excited about is for AI to replace me. I cannot wait for that day where AI enters my sales calls and pretends to be me and does all the demo calls and answers and does from emails, everything. I know people are scared of the future. I'm opposite. I'm like, I cannot wait for me to have in a way like a passenger look and maybe just direct a little bit, but see all the innovation in it, like from that different perspective. Being in San Francisco, you see the rate of innovation, and I am personally very excited about this and the way I look at it and innovation that it could bring. We see it first for engineers and how much it replaces us. It will definitely come for other industries as well, and I'm hoping that that will just change from the way we live, maybe solve a lot of different problems. I have more positive outlook on AI, and I hope I will not be disappointed.
My only hope in this context is that people will be sane enough to choose to take some time to rest and enjoy the life instead of working even more to keep up with AI.
Yeah. I feel like we'll have more balance in life. That's what I'm hoping for.
All right. And Vitalie?
Well, my biggest fear that some big company will keep the best AI closed only for them, like O3 is now for OpenAI, the best model, nobody have access. It's very expensive, that's why we do not give access. But who knows who they do with it. One bold statement that I want to tell here, that Moldova aim to have a unicorn. I doubt we'll have sooner or later, but if we will have 100% will be AI only, unicorn. This is how powerful these tools are become.
I'm pretty sure we'll get a unicorn, but most likely the first one will be AI driven and the rest as well. All right, on this note, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us. I hope everyone got some interesting tips and practical stuff that they could do. And let's discuss afterwards as well, because I still have many questions that I wanted to ask, but so little time. Thank you very much.